Hello everyone, this is Phil from Shunryu Martial Arts, and in this video I'm gonna answer to a lot of questions you might have about what the heck is that Shunryu karate, why do people name a style like that, what do they do there, why is that different, why is that better, why is that worse. So just brace for what's coming and have fun. Shunryu karate is not really a karate style. It's much more of a training method. In the past, most karate masters that are considered to be founders of karate styles, they opposed to that idea of karate styles. And so do we. But at the end of the day, it's just about the way people decide to teach, or the emphasis people decide to put on one thing or the other. And at the end of the day, it's all karate. And in that sense, what we teach is just in a different order what we decide to do that makes more sense to us at that point of our karate journey. So in Shunryu, we're tied to the karate traditions. And one of the most important karate traditions has always been to adapt, to learn from different styles and to adapt to the times. So that's what made karate to what it is right now. In that sense, we try to aim for what the old masters were trying to aim and not just trying to mimic what they were trying to do. So in that way, we have lots of things to do and we have a lot of work. As many of you know, Buddhism has greatly influenced the philosophy of Asian martial arts, the way we train and the way we think and what we aim for while we're training in a more traditional way. A Zen master called Suzuki Shunryu has written a book that's called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. And that idea, it's called Shoshin in Japanese. It's usually translated as beginner's mind. Is one of the things that's very important in the way we approach martial arts. Having that newbie mentality whenever we start doing anything, it doesn't matter how advanced our training is. We have to keep that same excitement and the same intention of learning and doing everything the way it is taught to us to learn something new. And that's something that we forget very quickly once we get to advanced levels and we're going to be demonstrated something and the teacher says, so we're going to do a shitoken. And we know, yeah, I know shitoken. And some people are going to do this way, other people are going to do this way, other people are going to do this way. But they usually think they know what they're doing. If you don't pay attention to the names and pay attention to what the teacher is showing you, you're going to be able to absorb a lot more. And you're going to be able to learn different ways because Miyamoto Musashi has said there are many paths or the many ways to the top of the mountain. So you're probably going to be learning something else that is also correct or also true. And that's the way we approach every single class. It doesn't matter if we're teaching or if we're learning, and keeping that mind open with the same newbie idea of Shoshin is the way we approach things in Shunryu, and that's where the name comes from. Shunryu karate was founded by a guy named Oliver Becker. He's now 6th dan in Shunryu karate and he's still teaching. So Oliver started his karate journey back in the 80s training Shotokan karate. And he achieved the second degree black belt on the Nidan in that style before he went to the military and came back and started working in private security or as a personal security. And at some point, he realized that there was a link missing between the training he had and what he had learned in karate to what he was really encountering in real life and what would be real self-defense situations or situations that really happened in our days or back in the days in the 90s. So he started cross-training and went to different styles like kickboxing, ninjutsu, Japanese jiu-jitsu, to learn different things and see how they could be applied to his work. At the end of the day, he came to the conclusion that we had all those things in karate, and just the way we were being taught, or the order we were being taught those things, were just not useful to the kind of job he had. So his heart was still in karate, and he decided that he wanted to adapt his own teaching style, as he was a teacher at that time, and started teaching in a different way. At some point, that just became what we now call Shunryu karate, but it's just something that we already have in karate. We're not inventing anything new, and even if you do, it's still karate. That's the way karate adapted, the way karate took influences from Chinese Shaolin boxing, from White Crane Kung Fu, and all those things that were what made karate to what it is today. Even Shotokan karate took a lot of different influences, and we keep that same way, the same tradition when training Shotokan. I joined Shunryu martial arts was back in 2016 or 2017 because I thought this is something that just makes sense to me, and that's the way I want to teach as well. And that's the way we keep teaching nowadays, and many people found Shunryu martial arts and decided to join, and that's how we evolved to having other martial arts styles within the Shunryu family: Shunryu Taekwondo, Shunryu Jiu-Jitsu, Shunryu Ninjutsu, and whatever wants to come, because we base our training and our teaching and our methods just in a few basic principles that we're going to explain in the next parts of this video. But that's basically, everybody can teach Shunryu, and you don't have to give up your style or invent something new or have a problem with your inner convictions. And that's what Shunryu is about. I'm no one in the karate world. I'm no one important. Really, some people might think I know something, some people might think I know nothing. I think I just know enough to know that there is a lot to learn. I started my karate journey back in 1988, learning from my dad, who's also a karate teacher. He came from a background of traditional Goju-ryu and traditional Shotokan. He also trained some Wado-ryu, all that back in the 70s, training under Japanese instructors in a very different way than what we do today. So basically the way I started training with him back in the 80s was Shotokan and Goju-ryu. I also participated in many tournaments. I had some interesting results, but nothing really worth mentioning here. I grew up in one of the most dangerous cities in the world, so I had to defend myself many times, and that kind of gives you a very different perspective and take on things when people say that's a very good technique for self-defense on the street, and when somebody attacks you this way, that's what you do. Or when people say that's never gonna work on the street, reality is very different. I'm also in the executive board of the International Association of Personal Protection Agents, so I do know a little bit. We keep training in very different scenarios of self-defense, restraining techniques, but I also train Karate Shotokan and Goju-ryu on a weekly basis. I keep doing like what many people would call a traditional training. I also passed the tradition, the karate tradition, on to my son, who still trains with me, and he also trains Shotokan and is also a member of the local teams and for kata and kumite, which is not really important at this moment, but above all, I am a student. I keep learning, and I want to learn for as long as I live, and karate is also my life, is also my journey. So I'm nobody here showing off and pretending to know things better. I'm just generally seeking for an exchange and having people to comment and for us to learn a little bit more together. That's a great question that has a very quick, short, and simple answer. But before I answer that question, I just want to say something that I think is important. karate gi, keiko gi, do-gi, or whatever you call it, or karate suit, it's just not important. It's definitely not important. The way you train, it's not influenced by the way you dress. And some people that call themselves traditionalists, many times they don't know that, but karate up until the 40s, 50s on Okinawa was still done with regular clothes, just pants, no t-shirt, underwear, whatever. Even after the karate suit has been introduced to karate in Japan by Funakoshi Gichin under the influence of Jigoro Kano. Anyway, I think there are positive sides on wearing an uniform that creates a sense of belonging. Everybody looks the same, and especially if you teach children, that makes them feel very special. But long story short, the way you dress doesn't directly influence the quality of your karate. But since you asked, the answer why we wear a black gi or a black karate suit is very simple. In Shunryu karate, we put a lot of emphasis on techniques that we do on the ground. So we do a lot of break falls, we do rolls, and we do defense against attacks while you are lying on the floor. And that, it takes no genius mind to understand that makes your white gi to a dirty piece of cloth very fast, and you get a lot of stains. And a black gi, it's a bit better in that sense, and that's why we wear a black gi.